Hi everyone, and welcome to Automating DNS, DHCP, and IPAM with Maestro. I'm Lauren Malhoit, and I'm the Director of Technical Content at Men&Mice. And I'll be taking you through our quick 5 to 10 minute demo here. With that, let's get started. I do just briefly want to go through what Maestro does at a very high level so you kind of understand what we're talking about when we say things like DDI overlay, for example. So Maestro is a DNS, DHCP, and IPAM, DDI, overlay and orchestration solution. What does that really mean? Well, we're an overlay in that we don't dictate the underlying services that you might already be using or that you may choose to use in the future. So we're non-disruptive. And basically, we want you to use the best DDI solution for the platform on which you choose to run your workloads. So because we're an overlay, we actually help you create more sustainable network management operations. So you can prolong the life of your current services, or you can more easily migrate to new, more appropriate services as well. And therefore, we kind of get rid of that serious problem of technical debt and making decisions or maybe having analysis paralysis based on that technical debt. We're also an orchestration solution, like I mentioned. So we give you that big picture view of your entire DDI environment, whether you're in the cloud or on premises, and then we allow you to easily create workflows either in the GUI or using our APIs. So we know that you're not just out there creating workflows for the fun of it. What we want to do is help you easily create workflows that go just beyond, the creation of a new DNS record, for example, to truly onboarding and going to market with new services and applications, the things that result in revenue for your company. So in this automation series, we're going to start at the beginning, just creating short building blocks on which you can start to understand more about DDI if you're a DevOps person, or vice versa, start to understand more about automation if you're a DDI person. So like I said, let's start at the beginning. What is a DNS record? And I'm going to show you how you can see this in our GUI or through the APIs, but generally a DNS record will provide information about a DNS zone or a domain name. And the DNS is kind of like a phone book or a 411 for the internet. Instead of just having to memorize IP addresses, we can just search for and remember human readable names like we're very used to. There are several types of DNS records out there, such as an A record, sometimes called a host record, or an MX record, which is, a mal exchange server record, gives us information about your mal exchange servers. There are about a dozen other types out there. And so we want to use a DDI solution to keep all of this information visible and keep it maintained, no matter where it may live, especially as we start moving to more complicated architectures like multi-cloud, like using SASE. So, for example, you might be using Microsoft DNS on premises, Bind at another location, and Azure DNS in the cloud. You can see where this gets really complicated, and being able to go to one GUI or one API can really help you just from a visibility perspective, but also as we start to automate. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into that demo then. You can see here I have the Maestro GUI up. So I'm just going to show you really quickly where you find DNS records and what that looks like in Maestro in the web UI, and then we'll go to the APIs and take a look at that. So I know that the DNS zone I want to take a look at is actually in this Active Directory integrated filter, and I'm going to go ahead and click on maestroautomation.net because I've created it just for this special occasion. And then I can see all of my records in here, all of my DNS records. I've got an A record, a name server record, mal exchange, and text record. So that's all well and good. Fantastic for visibility, fantastic for doing kind of tasks one thing at a time. But when we start getting to automation, we might want to do things more quickly or integrate with a third-party software solution like ServiceNow or like Ansible, what you're already probably using within your environment. So let's jump into the REST API here. So essentially, I've taken, the services where I found my web UI, and I've appended that with mmws/API/doc. So that's all built in. You can see your API documentation as long as you have web services installed. And here I just see all of the objects that are available that I can manipulate or view via the APIs. And for us, anything that you can do in the management console or the web UI, you should be able to do via the APIs. So I'm going to go down to DNS Records because that's what we've been talking about. I've toggled that on, and now I see a bunch of objects that I can view and manipulate, and I see the actions that I can do as well. So I see post, get, put, and delete. These correlate with CRUD actions if you're familiar with that. So CRUD meaning create, read, update, and delete. So in this case, post would be a creation action, get is your read, put is your update, and delete, of course, is your delete. We're just going to start off simple, and we're going to do some reading of DNS records. So I've toggled on this get/DNS records, and that's the URL. That's the location that I'm really going to go to do these tasks. I can see here the model schema. This is what's going to be returned to me. You can see how this looks. You can see the name is going to be a string type. The type is going to be any. That's going to be your DNS record type. Could be an A record or a text record. Data is going to be, an IP address in the case of an A record, or maybe just some text if it's a text record. You can find more information by clicking on this model link here, and this actually gives you the definitions of all of those values and what they might mean. Give you some more familiarity with what you're looking for in the APIs. Now this DNS record, it requires that I actually put in something here because I am searching for something. So if I put in, let's just say Maestro auto test, and I click on try it out and log in. Then I can see the URL that it went to get this information, and I can see, this is the DNS reference object information. I can see it is of type text, the TTL is 3600, and the data testing for post. What's interesting is I could actually even copy and paste this URL into my browser and get the same information. The reason we can do all of this right here in the API documentation is because Maestro builds in something called Swagger. If you're familiar with Postman, Swagger is pretty similar. It actually just allows you to try out things right here in the API documentation. Now, you're probably not going to use Swagger to do your real-world automation workflows, but it does give you an opportunity to come in, test it out, see what works before you then put these API calls into a larger workflow, maybe from Ansible or PowerShell or anything like that you're, again, probably already using with your environment. Moving down, we did get a response code of 200, which means successful in this case for this response class. I can see that response class status 200 right here. If you want a little more information, you can simply just look up status codes for HTTP, and you'll find all the information you need there. But in the 200s, it's generally successful. In the 400s, generally means you got an error of some sort. Okay, that's all we have for now, but we'll be back with even more information on how you can use the APIs. If you do have any comments or questions or requests for what you would like to see in the future, go ahead and send us an email, get us on Twitter, LinkedIn, however you would like to reach out. We are more than happy to take your suggestions. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.